Alright, during the last video, um, I left off saying that one of the keys to figuring out who Mystery Babylon is her connection to sorcery. The country's connection to sorcery. As we know, Mystery Babylon is a city that rules over all the men of the earth. Okay. And I also touched on the historical aspect of amphetamines by saying that amphetamines were first synthesized in 1887 by German chemist L. Dienor. Alright. Well, World War started in 1914. A couple years after, about 27 years after amphetamines were first synthesized. Amphetamines were created before both world wars, and I believe were used to gain the technological advancement necessary to wage war on such a global scale. Amphetamines played a very crucial role in the Second World War and the Nazi military. Okay. Millions and millions of methamphetamine pills were distributed to the Nazi military force, both to pilots, to sailors, and to gunmen. Adolf Hitler regularly injected meth himself. This evidence can be found in soldiers' letters and other archives. Hitler was not just addicted to meth, but other addictive drugs as well, such as cocaine, opiates, and sedatives. He was a pill popper. Hitler was also very concerned with his image and was addicted to laxatives. Switching from a historical perspective to the present, I will tell you of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime. United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime stated that the largest in 2006, the United Nations of Drugs and Crime, not of Drugs and Crime, I'm sorry, United Nations Office of Drugs and Crime, stated that the largest national amphetamine type stimulants seizures in 2006 were reported in Saudi Arabia. Okay, amphetamine type stimulants are the term describes itself. The stimulants that are forms of some amphetamine compound, like Vyvanse or Adderall. For example, the generic name of Adderall, or a generic version of Adderall, is simply labeled amphetamine salts. Okay, Saudi Arabia constituted 26% of amphetamine type stimulant seizures in 2006, making it the largest. United States of America constituted 15% of amphetamine type stimulant seizures. China constituted 13%. And there's a list of more and more countries. You can look up the United Nations Office of Drugs and Crimes report on 2006 for the list of all the countries and the percentage of global seizures. Now, the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in 2013 published a World Drug Report on amphetamine type stimulants. And I think not just on amphetamine type stimulants, but amphetamine type stimulants were one of their topics. Okay, so Near and Middle East seizures account for almost 64% of global... Sorry. Let me repeat that. Near and Middle East seizures account for almost 64% of global amphetamine seizures. So the Middle East holds the largest percentage of global amphetamine seizures in relation to the rest of the world. Most amphetamine seizures were made in Saudi Arabia. That's right. Just like in 2006, in 2013, we see the trend continue. Saudi Arabia is listed as being where most seizures were made. In 2011, 11 tons were seized, which represent 37% of global amphetamine seizures. 37% in Saudi Arabia. For clarification, this is the 2013 report of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crimes, but it's using information and research gathered from 2011. Okay, as a whole, we can see amphetamine seizures in Saudi Arabia increased. It is plausible to correlate seizures with demand. Having said that, I can't guarantee you that seizure and demand are intrinsically correlated. Like, I can't, it's a theory of mine, but I can't put them down and say, yes, Saudi Arabia has the most usage of amphetamines, but it's where it's being seized the most. Alright, moving closer to home. The United States military has been sued for forcing pilots to take amphetamines. I don't have the name of the article where this information was presented, but you can search it on Google. I do have an article from Wired magazine that says the U.S. military needs its speed, where the case of the two pilots I mentioned is referenced. Again. But the Defense Department, oh wait, sorry. I'm about to quote from the article. Quote, but the Defense Department, which distributed millions of amphetamine tablets to troops during World War II, Vietnam, Gulf War, soldiers on, insisting that they are not only harmless, but beneficial. End quote. Okay, basically what this quote is referencing to is that the Defense Department, which distributed millions of amphetamine tablets to troops during all these wars and during all these years, insists that amphetamine tablets are not harmful, but are beneficial to our troops and soldiers, despite obvious health evidence that says to the contrary. I'm going to read another quote, but just want you to know that this quote is being paraphrased. Quote, pilots can be grounded for refusing to take pills. Grounding is very damaging to a pilot's career. Basically, in this Wired magazine article, the U.S. military needs its speed. It states the case that I talked to you about earlier, that the U.S. has been sued for forcing pilots to take amphetamines. Because what happened was these two pilots were about to go on a mission in Afghanistan. They're really tired, didn't want to take the go or no-go pills, as they're referenced to in the U.S. Air Force, which is amphetamine-type stimulants. They didn't want to take them, but they felt really pressured to. They took them, they went on the mission, and they bombed, I guess, the wrong area, but an accident happened, and it killed Canadian infantry. In the aftermath, the U.S. military is being sued for having pressured these soldiers, these pilots, to take the pills. Any last remarks I want to say? Oh yeah, in Saudi Arabia, the majority of amphetamine-type stimulants that are being seized are something called Captagon pills. Now, Captagon pills are really similar to the ADHD medication pills we take here in the United States. Although they're illegal, of course. I guess more, not as similar to our ADHD medication, but more street speed, I guess. I'm not sure. You'll have to research that. But these Captagon pills are what are being seized the most in Saudi Arabia, and are very popular among young Saudi Arabia university students, similar to our problem here with neurostimulants in colleges and universities across the United States. With this, I'll be ending. Amphetamines are a danger to the world, both physically and spiritually. God bless and have a good day.